A while since I've done a video. It is, they say that life speeds up the older you get, and they are certainly right. I feel like we've just been going non-stop, and today I got a little bit of a break in the action. The weather's been swinging 20 degrees back and forth. Really hot day, sunny, beautiful. 2 days ago, and now we've returned to the cold rain and the gray skies here in the Pacific Northwest. But it's all good. It's springtime. The flowers and the trees all know that summer's coming up, so I'll just roll with that. But I certainly hope that you're well wherever you are in the world. So I've been kind of struggling to get my kiddo to eat more fruit. And she needs the fiber, and trying to kind of wean her off of the sweet stuff. So I thought I would use, conveniently, I had all of the ingredients I needed to make this, but I would uh, slowly but surely incorporate fruit into fun things, and, you know, with a little sugary stuff involved in it, and eventually kind of wean that out. So today I am making Ambrosia salad. This is such an old school recipe. I have no idea of the history of it, but I know that my grandmother, who is long passed, used to make this around Easter time. So I thought, oh, great! It just turned out what inspired it all was the rainbow, or the fruit flavored mini marshmallows. I bought these for my kiddo's birthday party. She had a PJ and pancake party, and this was one of the toppings. So I thought, well, this will be kind of a fun way to use these. I always have some shredded unsweetened coconut on hand, and of course some Greek yogurt. But this is a really basic recipe. It's a cup of sour cream or plain or vanilla Greek yogurt. You can also use whipped topping. So I'm using what I have, and just going to give it a whirl. I have a little bit of honey Greek yogurt left, and I'm going to make up the difference with some whipped topping. By the way, this whipped topping, I just combine this with key lime yogurt, a couple of cups of key lime yogurt, and then put it into a graham cracker crust, cover it, and freeze it. And it is a divine little snack. But I'm going to be doing that later because I have no room in the freezer right now. What a problem to have. So a cup of creaminess, 1 cup of these mini fruit marshmallows. You could also use the plain original mini marshmallows. 1 cup of coconut. It calls for sweetened, but this is quite sweet as it is, so I prefer unsweetened if possible. Let's see, 1 cup of drained pineapple tidbits, well drained. You don't want this to be soupy. And then 1 cup of drained mandarin oranges. So literally 1 cup across the board. I'm actually going to go a little light on the fruit. I think I also conveniently had a couple of pineapple rings left over from pizza the other night. So I think I have about a half a cup of pineapple tidbits and about 3/4 cup of mandarin oranges. That's what comes in those smaller cans. So we're gonna combine all of this, cover, and refrigerate for about 4 hours, and that'll just make sure the flavors just kind of meld, and the marshmallows and coconut soften, and it will be ready just in time for my kiddo to be home from school. So it'll be a nice little after-school treat, and get a little bit of fruit in there as well. Let's see here. So let's go ahead and start with the yogurt. I love this honey Greek yogurt. My grandma's recipe made huge portions, or huge portions. So I think she made it for 16 people. And so I am cutting it back quite a bit because, you know, I actually am not super keen on the sweet flavors. You know, I like a little bit of sweet yogurt. Sure enjoy that every once in a while, but in general, this is quite sweet. Alright. I rarely use whipped topping too, but kiddo loves the key lime, so make that pie, mock key lime pie, and it seems to work just perfectly. Happy spring to you, though. We have definitely turned over to spring since I did my last video. I hope you're well wherever you are and braving this weird weather. It's weird everywhere. We had a very strange storm warning a couple of weeks ago. It was all over the news. People were panicking, but we were expecting egg-sized hail, and there was a possibility of tornadoes, if you could believe that. And so the dynamics of it, a storm's a storm, and when you have the conditions, you're going to get what you get. But tornadoes in Washington State, in Western Washington, that is bizarre to me. And the path that they had mapped out was right up the I-5 corridor, which really would have been tragic on so many levels. I live up on a plateau, so it likely wouldn't affect us in the same way, but the wind absolutely affects us. And so it was kind of a strange thing to witness, because people, well, gosh, you didn't want your car destroyed, your property destroyed. So I saw a man up on a ladder tacking down these thick moving blankets on top of his sky windows or skylights on the roof of his house. People were covering their cars in blankets, thick mats. I saw someone who used those little swimming pool noodles and designed something to cover the top. Cardboard. People were covering their windshields and roofs of their car and hood with cardboard and taping it down. I mean, it was a serious preparation, and they had timed when it was supposed to hit. And oh my gosh, I have been in a tornado before. I didn't know I was driving into a tornado. I was on my way to Chicago. I was on my way to Twin Cities. So I was in Minnesota heading west. And the sky, it changes to something that is super ominous and unsettling and instant. I can't describe it, but the color, it's like menacing. I did not know what I was driving into. I could see it in the distance. I could see how it was building, and the clouds, they almost look like arteries. You'd have these dark channels or veins of cloud, and it just spread and churned. I mean, it looked terrifying, really. So we're all standing out, kind of watching the storm blow in, and it sounds, or it looks like Mount Rainier kind of saved our bacon, because that really does determine the weather in our particular neck of the woods up on the plateau. We could either get really hit hard with storms, or we don't get hit and everybody else gets hammered. And so it just has to do with the channels of the Cascade foothills, and how everything interacts with Mount Rainier. So we're standing out there, and you heard 2 thunderclaps, and they were brutal. And there was a quick, like 2-minute downpour, but not even a heavy downpour. And then it was gone, and it literally blew west. And so that was kind of lucky for us in Western Washington that was not as devastating as they had anticipated. But to me, I kind of experienced that as a little bit of crying wolf. You terrify people like that in the media, and then it doesn't happen. All the preparations, all the fear. People were taking the day off from work, keeping their kids home from school. I know that my daughter's art class was canceled, just in anticipation. It really does impact people in response. So hopefully the next time there is perhaps a pending emergency, hopefully, you know, people don't feel discouraged to prepare themselves and their families. You know, in general, I'm a lifelong camper and backpacker, and so this house is like Fort Knox with food and just like supplies, where, you know, if there was something devastating that happened with the weather, which actually it already has with that bomb cyclone last fall, I'm prepared. We wouldn't even need to leave the house. We'd be good. But, you know, not everybody pays attention to the weather in the same way. So, long story. Isn't this beautiful? As a kid, it just made me so happy to see this on the Easter table with the beautiful ham. And what else did they make? My mom always made funeral potatoes. I believe baked beans were always there. Olives, the black olives. I remember me and my sisters putting olives on our fingers. So, as Easter's just around the corner, this is kind of nice, even though it's a little early. Ooh, I eyeballed it just about right. And I'll be honest, I kind of like adding that half whipped cream. It has a beautiful smell and a nice light creamy texture. So I've gone ahead and drained off the fruit already. You kind of want to add the fruit last so you don't tear apart the mandarin oranges. All right. Rock and roll this morning. And a little tea. Cheers. Yum. People also add drained maraschino cherries. And my grandma used to top it with some finely chopped pecans, which I love pecans. I love nuts in general. My kiddo is not there yet, so I don't want to turn her off to the salad. But coconut is a nut, so it still has that good health benefit. All right, so you want to fold that in. I'm breaking those up pretty good, but it'll still be tasty. So that is a nice little portion size. And it's delicious. Oh, just like I remember it. It has been, oh my gosh, well over 2 decades since I've tasted that flavor. Rest in peace, Grandma. All right, so I'm going to cover this up and refrigerate for 4 hours, and it will keep beautifully for a couple of days, but this is not a large amount, so I think it'll go pretty fast, but hopefully it puts a smile on my kiddo's face. But thank you for joining me, another little quick video, and take good care of yourselves, and we will see you next time.